Man, having no flares and no missiles at 9.3 right now really is absolutely terrible. But the performance of this plane is just so good that it kind of makes it worth it. Despite being killed by R60Ms and AIM-9Ls half your games, this thing is amazing, and it is a lot of fun. Now, I know that I made a video on the Ariete already, but I made that video while I only had a test drive, and I kind of bought it on impulse the other night. I got killed by one on stream and then immediately bought it. And I can't tell if I'm happy with my purchase or not because I kinda hate the battle rating, but I love the plane. Anyway, the Ariete is a rank 6 battle rating 9.3 fighter, and it kind of falls under the rat jet category for me. I say it's a rat jet because if you're facing this thing, good luck winning a dogfight with it. It's one of the most annoying planes to fight because you're not gonna win. When you're flying the Ariete, anything that's faster than you can outmaneuver, but anything that's slower than you can out-energy and probably outturn them too, honestly. The thing is genuinely so easy to whip around at 14G turns, and it even manages to hold its energy through those turns as well. You're not going to hold your speed through a turn like a MiG-19, but it doesn't even really matter that much because you still have so much engine power. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. You don't have an afterburner, you actually have a second engine that sort of acts as an afterburner. If you'll notice in the gameplay footage, I'm actually sitting at 110% throttle. When you go above 100% throttle in this thing, the second engine turns on, and you'll notice when you do that, this little intake pops up near the back of the fuselage in front of the tail. It's kind of redundant, but I think a little intake's pretty cool. The Ariete's armament is pretty solid. You get two high fire rate, high velocity 30mm cannons, though sometimes I do find them to be pretty inconsistent, and I kind of suck at aiming them too, which is funny. The times where I've seen people talk about the guns on the Ariete, it seems like the general consensus is pretty positive about them. But what's funny is that I don't hear many people talk about the Ariete itself, and I see them in game even less, which I think is pretty cool because it seems like no one really knows what to do about the Ariete, which, I mean, you kind of can't do anything against an Ariete. If you get in a close fight with an Ariete, you're not winning, which I guess is why people run away so often. Alright, real quick, let's talk about the matchmaker. I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but my god, this battle rating is terrible. Especially when you're in a plane like this when you don't have any flares or missiles yourself. The majority of the matches you get are going to be 10.0 matches. Had a few 10.3 up tiers, but not many, and down tiers are rare. In a full down tier, you run the match completely, no one's gonna kill you. In a full up tier, it would probably be the same thing if you didn't have to deal with R60Ms and AIM-9Ls. If one gets launched at you at the right range, you're not dodging it. The only times these missiles don't hit you is if the person shooting them at you had a bad launch, which does happen quite often. Alright, so how about a game? Normally I get pretty aggressive in this plane. Nothing too dumb, but I do like kind of using this as a furball fighter a lot of the time. Especially if it's a down tier, because that way you have much less of a chance seeing advanced missiles. But this game was not a down tier. In fact, it was a full up tier. So first off, there's a MiG-21 that kind of just ended up in front of my gun, so I'm going to take some shots. Unfortunately whiff, but that's alright. Hit the air brake so I don't overshoot. He crosses in front of me again, and I'm going to set him on fire, which will result in my first kill. Since he's not dead yet, I am keeping an eye on him in case he fires a missile, which he does just that. Luckily, I was paying attention, and it wasn't an R60, so I was able to dodge that pretty easily. If that was an R60, I'd be dead. MiG-21 ended up going down, so now I've got to focus on this F5 and this SU-25. SU-25 pretty much sets me up for a perfect shot. Start shooting, but I kind of was forgetting that these guns have a pretty high velocity, so I was basically shooting right in front of him instead of actually hitting him. But that's alright, because once we get close, we're going to hit him anyway. He is crit and in a flat spin, so he's pretty much out. And now this F-100 comes out of nowhere, and I had no idea where he was at. So once again, I kind of get a little lucky here. He does hit my tail, but he doesn't do any substantial damage, so we're still good to go. Start going for the SU-25 again, because at this point, I didn't know he was in a flat spin. But as soon as I noticed that he was, I focused my attention right back on the F-100. So now he's in a pretty bad spot, because as he was flying away from me, I wasn't going to be able to catch him because the F-100 is obviously faster than the Ariete. But he dives under me, I get a crit in, which will result in another kill. As he's spinning, an F-5C flies right above me, focusing on my teammate, which luckily puts me in a good position right behind him. F-100 goes down, and now I've got an easy kill on this F-5C if I could actually hit my shots. I'm doing just what I was doing a second ago by leading way too much and overcompensating for the drop of these guns, when in reality all I gotta do is basically put my crosshair on him and it would probably delete him. But it doesn't matter, I'm gonna get his tail and he's gonna go down, but as soon as that happens, another F-5C rolls up. And since this is an Ariete, I can kinda just roll around full elevator and I will be where I need to be. Almost get the shot in here, but didn't quite get my guns on. But no matter, because now he's going to be right in front of me. He should have just extended and re-engaged, but he's going to end up turning right in front of me. Take a few longer shots just to see if it would happen. It does not. Gonna get a little closer, and then we're gonna take him out. And just like that, that's 5 kills. There's still 2 guys left, one of which is a MiG-23BN, and the other is a Yak-28. The MiG-23BN ends up just leaving the game when he lands, which is fine. So now all that's left is the Yak-38. I flew over the enemy airfield to see if he was there, and it turned out he was. So I'm going to drive straight down on top of the airfield, because if you don't do that, you'll get shot down by AA, throw a few rounds into him, and that's going to be the end of the game. So the Ariete. It has an absolutely cracked flight model, and it's extremely fun to fly provided you don't get shot down by Su-25s or A-10s with their crazy advanced missiles. It really does have the potential for some really high kill games, especially if you get it full down tier at 8.3. But as you saw in the intro of this video, you get shot down by missiles a lot. Even if you're playing carefully, sometimes you will get caught off guard and be killed from 5 kilometers away by an A9L from an A10 flown by somebody who bought their way to 10.0. Unfortunately, that is the reality of this battle rating in War Thunder these days, and there really isn't anything I can do about it. So if I hate this battle rating so much, why am I even playing it? Well, to be honest, like I said earlier, it was an impulse buy, and I'm not going to buy something and then not use it. Regardless of the terrible battle rating, I did still enjoy it. However, it is still extremely annoying having to deal with AIM-9Ls and R60Ms. Like, you got no flares, what are you going to do? Despite that one crippling downside of this thing, the plane itself is nuts. You'll just keep getting sucked into the worst battle rating in the game. And you know what's even worse? I'm about to make another video with a 10.3 plane. Why do I do it to myself? Anyway, what do you guys think of the Ariete? Despite the matchmaker, I think this is one of my favorite planes. Oh yeah, and one more thing before I go, I'm starting a Patreon page. I've had a few people ask me how they can support me directly, and this is the way to do it. So if you want to support the channel and get a few extra bonus things that no one else gets, consider becoming a patron. It would mean the world to me. Okay, if you sat all the way through that and watched me promote my Patreon, between you and me, I am nervous about launching it and I don't know why. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about the Ariete. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.